Hi, this is Daniela Cambone. Welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show here on Stansberry Research. And joining me today is my colleague over at Stansberry Research, Eric Wade, who really is the best crypto analyst, period, out there. He is the editor of Crypto Capital. He also holds the most wins in the top Hall of Fame for Stansberry Research due to his incredible calls. Eric, it's so great to be with you because there's so much noise out there and information coming in regards to the crypto world. And I was like, we need to get Eric on to help us make sense of it all, help us decipher and understand what is happening. Eric, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And that was a warm welcome that I'm going to have to try really hard to live up to.
Well, look, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to have you on, especially because I know you just released a special video, and I'll tell the folks about it later, but it's messagefromeric.com, where you have an important message, hence messagefromeric.com, about the release of FedNow and how everything will change come July 1st. So I want to talk about FedNow. I want to talk about, obviously, the excitement back in the Bitcoin space, Coinbase, Binance, the SEC coming, all this stuff. So let's start with the importance of July 1st. And I say this, Eric, because I've had other experts coming on saying, don't worry about FedNow. It's not a central bank digital currency. It may be the backdoor plumbing to one, but it's nothing we should worry about. You think otherwise, though, correct?
Yes and no. And I'm one of those people who tries to think of both sides, two sides of the coin. So yes, I do, but I also have opinions on this that may be different. So I'm gonna take a piece of your opening where you said there's a lot of noise going on out there, and say the way we see it, yes, there is a lot of noise, but some of it's actually pretty pleasant noise. I mean, you can almost say music to our ears. And a lot of that has to do with the launch of FedNow. Um, I guess I'm perpetually worried about the government having too much access to our money, tracking too much, following too much. The idea of a Fed coin, which Fed Chair Powell says, no, don't worry about a Fed coin. And I know a lot of people are saying, no, don't worry about a Fed coin. I'm perpetually worried about it, even if it's a 1% chance of it happening, right? So, but that's not really where we're going right now, and it's not what has me excited. What's got us excited is FedNow. And I'm wearing this particular shirt for a reason. I don't know how much your
I
your
see
audience
it.
can see it. I didn't mean to be disrespectful by wearing a T-shirt on the Daniela
Well, you're
show,
always so
but
polished, we know.
the idea is here's the theme is a flood of capital, a flood of activity. So what FedNow really offers us is bringing the American banking system catching up from the 1960s. And I'll give people a little image to keep in their head is a lot of us have the app on our smartphone that we can take a picture of a check, right? And deposit the check by taking a picture of it, right? Um, Sort of a high-tech innovation, but it isn't really. It's because our banking system is built around solving the problem of paper checks. Back in the 60s, they were really worried about people using so many checks. It takes a long time to actually move a check from one location to another location, from one bank to another. If you write me a check and you're using the Bank of New York or something, and I'm in California with Bank of California, it takes a long time for these checks to move. So they built this ACH clearinghouse system for money to move faster through banks and for checks to move. But really, we're still moving at the speed of checks. Now, we have images of checks now. That's why you go to the ATM, you deposit a check, and it says, would you like a picture of your check on your receipt? It's kind of convenient, but it's also because the banks are moving checks. They're moving images of checks, but we're still in that world. we're still in the world in America that was built for checks moving from place to place. Now, we're all Zelle and Venmos and PayPal's people, right? And we pay for things, and you do your dinner or whatever, and you debit card it, and it seems like the money moves right away. But that's only because there's agreements in place between all of these processors to make it look like the money moved right away, or to say, well, we'll go ahead and credit Daniela as if she paid, and then behind the scenes we're going to take 3 days to pay. Well, that's what FedNow changes. That's what FedNow solves, is all of these things that we think are digital money, right? PayPal, Venmo, etc. It isn't really. It's just they're floating the money faster. The system that was built to move checks and then upgraded to where we're moving pictures of checks, which really isn't that much of an upgrade. If you think about it technologically, it's about to go digital. There's about to be actual digital dollars, that there doesn't have to be a check. There doesn't have to be a third party like a Venmo or a PayPal that's saying, I'm going to go ahead and float that, so that if
Right.
Eric pays, Daniela receives the money immediately, but there's a float there in Venmo or whatever it is. Well, that's all changing. That's what FedNow is going to change, is the rails, the technology is going digital. And that's where I got the idea of this flood of money. Money's going to move faster. Now, it's not going to change how you feel like when you pay something using an app. You're still going to think, oh, it went through right away. And we've all done that, right? I don't know, you buy something and somebody says, hey, I take
Right.
Venmo, and
Right.
you go
Yeah.
beep, 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 and it's there. And they say it's there. Well, now the money's actually going to move from point A to point B. The banks are what's going to be changed, and the acceleration of our money. And anybody who's, we have the luxury of not having to think about this, but anybody who's in the business of, all right, fine, I'll go ahead and pay this while I wait for my money to come through 3 days or something, they're going to start getting their money instantly. So I think we're going to see we're going to see a lot of changes with how fast money moves. May not make the surface. Normal people may not make a difference to them, but behind the scenes, money's going to be moving tremendously fast, and there's just going to be such velocity of money that we think there's opportunities in there. That, I mean, imagine changing from analog to digital music. There's opportunities. Changing from analog to digital movies. There's opportunities. So we think there's opportunities within changing from analog check moving money to digital. There's opportunities.
Which is at the heart of your latest campaign, messagefromeric.com,
Exactly. It's
where
looking for
you,
those opportunities. What gets
right,
affected?
and you say you could make over 3,000% on the US dollar's biggest innovation in 51 years. Explain this.
Well, imagine if you, basically we're looking for infrastructure of this system,
Uh
not
huh.
infrastructure like roads and bridges, or picks and shovels. Sometimes
Right.
people call it, is who. Okay, Eric, let's say you're right, and let's say a tremendous amount of money velocity happens. How do we keep that safe? And this digital money,
Okay.
one side of your mouth, you're saying it's not going to really affect the Venmo crowd. They're going to still, their money's still going to move fast. But what holds digital money? Do we have the same bank account? Do we need the same? Do we need digital wallets? This
So
fast moving
knowing
money,
which
and what
companies to
protects it?
invest in. No, is it investing in specific companies?
I'm reluctant to say companies because some of
Okay.
them aren't
Okay.
companies.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotcha.
That's probably as far as we'll go
Right,
here.
right, right. No,
They're
you
not
have to
all
watch
companies. Yeah,
messagefromeric.com, and Eric will go into a
yeah.
full explanation of it. But does it, so it will be a radical change to the system, correct? B,
Yes.
does it affect Danielle and Eric and everyone else's day to day life? How will we feel it?
It's probably going to take a while to feel it because we've built up this sort of fake fast money
Yeah,
system that we're
yeah.
in now. Now, on the other hand, though, um, the, paying things with a check or ACHing. There's a lot of folks that in the crypto world, we move money onto our exchanges, et cetera, using ACH. That should really speed up. There's also, have you ever been in an instance where you make a deposit and it takes a while to clear?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Or we're going to talk about Coinbase. Coinbase is a great example of that. You can buy crypto on Coinbase from your bank account. And the way it works right now is they say, let's say I buy $10,000 worth of Ethereum. They'll say, okay, you own the Ethereum and your account is credited with the Ethereum, but you can't move it for 7 days. Well, that 7 days is waiting for basically the check to clear, right? The funds to be good. So if I wanted to make a move in DeFi or something right away, and I spent a lot of time thinking about crypto. There's probably better examples, real estate or gold or something that you pay for it and they say, okay, we got to wait for the funds to clear. That will change. I I know that off the tip of my tongue for Coinbase though, because myself and a lot of our customers do that. Is you put money in and it takes 7 days for it to clear. That should speed up. Now, those are policies of the individual companies. So it may take them a while to roll this out. It may take them
Yeah,
a while to be comfortable with it to say, okay,
yeah.
we got our digital dollars in
And,
10 seconds instead of 7 days.
so it's Executive Order 14067 that will roll out the first phase of the government-backed crypto that will open, as you say, a historic investment opportunity. I don't want to dwell on this so much more because there's so much other content we have to get to. But the timing of Powell's recent comments that the Fed does not support an individual CBDC and it would be something that would have to be intermediated by the banks. Do you think there's anything to the timing? Obviously, he was questioned this with FedNow coming up July 1st, but he's making this statement and yet we have FedNow. Is there a correlation here, Eric?
I think so. We were talking about that for a second earlier, and the
Yeah.
first thing that popped into my head was, why now? Why are you saying that now? And what came to me was, is he worried that Fed coin or a CBDC will spook people off of Fed now, right? Because if Fed now is the technology upgrade, and if enough people think, well, I don't want to use the technology upgrade that leads to FedCoin. Is that why he's saying this? Is don't worry, don't worry. We're upgrading the technology, but we're not going to take full advantage of it yet, or we're not interested in it at this point. I think that's what it is. Is he didn't want to spook people off of
Right.
adopting FedNow.
Eric, on the topic of timing, this is a perfect segue to talk about the SEC's takedown of Coinbase and Binance. And I know there's excitement surrounding BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF, Deutsche Bank applying for digital asset license in Germany. But the timing of it, I just want to throw it out there, right? Did these Wall Street giants only become involved after the SEC took down Binance and Coinbase?
Okay, the rabbit hole guy in me, the conspiracy theorist, thinks, is there any part of this that the plans may be being accelerated because SEC takes on Binance, SEC takes on Coinbase, Bitcoin dropped a couple of $1,000s, but only a couple of $1,000s, right? It didn't drop the floor out of the market. Cryptocurrencies large, and those lawsuits named a lot of really big cryptocurrencies that didn't charge them, but said, "Hey, these are securities." Were they trying to spook us out of them or something? But the idea that they threw a pretty big grenade at the two biggest players. Binance, the
Yeah,
biggest
right.
international exchange, Coinbase, the biggest American exchange. And they took their best shot. And the market, the crypto market, stayed above $1 trillion. Yes, it cost us. Intraday, we dipped 20%, but only 20%. And that's the part that I don't think enough people are talking about is, but only 20%. And we mostly recovered. Interestingly enough, a lot of the recovery was done when the Coinbase lawsuit dropped. So imagine being a big player on the side and you're thinking, I've got trillions of dollars under management. I'm a Fidelity, I'm a BlackRock, I'm an Invesco, right? Wisdom Tree, or an international player, and you're thinking, this is pretty interesting that the SEC went after cryptos with a shotgun. They were blasting everybody they could think of and making it as scary as it could possibly be. And then Binance goes into court, Binance US goes into court and says, hey, I think you're overreaching here. And the judge says, you know what? I'm not going to give the orders that the SEC is asking for, the TROs, the temporary restraining orders. That was seen as a win by Binance. And now we have a cascade. Now we have a cascade of other participants that are saying, wow, the SEC didn't nuke crypto. I mean, they shot the nuke and crypto went down into its bunker and then came back out for afternoon tea. Is crypto stronger than we think? And if there's going to
Interesting.
be a FedNow, what's if you didn't want to use the banking system, where would you go next? Probably blockchain. So put all those together is that crypto didn't die when the SEC came after it. We're now, well, last week, Bitcoin was trading for much higher than it was before it was attacked by the SEC. What is that? It took us 2 or 3 weeks to completely absorb the possible damage from it. Now, granted, we had a lot of good news, but the question you asked was timing. Yes, the timing is someone at the tops of those saw we're not going to get a better opportunity to get into this. We're not going to get $10,000 Bitcoin. We're not going to get cheap Bitcoin to start our funds with. We better act now. And did you notice BlackRock and then Fidelity and Invesco and Wisdom Tree and people that had shelved, not people, companies that had shelved ETF applications, warmed them back up because they thought the time is now. Now, if I can say one last conspiracy theory thought about this is interesting timing and interesting part about the BlackRock application for the ETF is on our side, on the crypto industry side, there's a lot of chatter about how 10 prior Bitcoin
Yes.
spot ETFs
Yes.
have been
Well,
rejected,
you beat me to the
but the
question.
presumption is okay. The presumption is BlackRock is going to be approved. Is that because the government can't say no to BlackRock? Is that a story that should be being told? Is that,
Why can't they
well,
say
if
no
it's
to BlackRock, Eric?
$10 trillion under management, a lot of influence. Okay, but $10 trillion, I mean, gold is knocking on the door of that, right? Is BlackRock more important than gold? Has a little bit more money now. I've told you in the past, I think gold's going to 3,500. So gold will pass them. But I think BlackRock didn't want to be left out. And I think it's interesting that our industry, the crypto side of this, is looking at like, so who's BlackRock that they get a carte blanche on this? That they get what is that, rubber stamp? That we get approved automatically? Interesting.
It's
That
extremely
that's what
interesting.
crypto has been worried about this whole time. I'm sorry, I cut you off, but
No, 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 not at all. And I appreciate you making that point because I was going to ask you, like, why would BlackRock get approved when everyone else has tried? And, we've been unsuccessful to have a spot ETF because everyone says once we get the spot ETF in Bitcoin, floodgates are open for Bitcoin price, right?
yeah,
If
yeah,
this gets
yeah.
approved, Derek, what's your forecast for Bitcoin?
Well, clearly $100,000 by the end of the year, and all right, let's play it safe. Let's say $80,000. I think $80,000 for Bitcoin in a year, and that's because um, there's probably you have a broad and intelligent audience, and there's probably people out there that are saying just the purchase the approval of the ETF isn't going to do it. No, but there's two things working together. Is the approvals of the ETFs and scarcity of Bitcoin. I don't know how many people understand that 44% of Bitcoin has not moved in 2 years, in over 2 years. And that means there's people that have held their Bitcoin when it went from $29,000, $30,000 2 years ago to 60 some odd and all the way to 16 and now back up into the what is it, 29, 30 something thousand. Um, 44% of the supply of Bitcoin you can think of as being locked in. So BlackRock, I'm sure they're sophisticated. Fidelity, I know they're sophisticated. They're going to do everything they can to get as much Bitcoin into their funds as possible. There's not as much liquid Bitcoin out there as there is Bitcoin. And the people that are holding some of that, they said no to 67,000 less than 2 years ago. So I think it's going to take more than that to free up some of the Bitcoin that refuse to move. So yeah, my number is 80,000 in a year, and then higher than that going on.
Eric, so to back it up a second, when you said, the SEC tried to bring out their bazooka and then, maybe crypto went out for tea after that. Operation Choke Point 2.0, right? Basically, a concentrated government effort to try and strangle the crypto industry. What's your take on Chokehold 2.0? Like, would you say that, did you have a theory on it before, and has it changed now given the outcome of SEC versus Binance?
Yeah, I have a couple, and a really fresh take that just occurred to me a couple days ago.
Yeah.
My old take is bring it on, try your best. Your choke point concept is literally attempting to shut something down that was built to avoid this kind of censorship, peer-to-peer electronic cash. If you were going to do it, you should have done it when there was 100,000 or a million or $100 million in crypto. But there's $1 trillion in crypto. So even if they did choke it off, sure, the market caps of a lot of them would plunge because people would say, I can't get my money out. But
Right.
there would still be hundreds of billions of dollars in crypto that's not going anywhere. And it could become its own ecosystem at least as big as let's say the 20th biggest economy in the world and below. Crypto, even if they completely choked it off, and I don't think they can, I'll tell you why in 15 seconds. Even if they completely choked it off, it would be an ecosystem bigger than most countries that are out there. And maybe it would go underground. Maybe we'd just trade amongst ourselves, etc. But we can do that. Okay, it's not like choking off gas guzzling cars or something. That I can't just go out and build my own gas guzzling car, but I can go out and participate in crypto. They can't stop that. Now, here's what something that just really blew my mind the other day. I'm not as worried about choke point because there's a lot more on and off ramps than I think people think about. There's even blockchains that are working directly with money processors, credit card processors, et cetera, that you can buy directly without having to go through an exchange. And the exchanges are the choke point, right? Because the exchange is what talks to your bank. And so it's very easy for the SEC to come in and say, we want to debank you. That's the choke point. But if a blockchain or there's a lot of other exchanges, some of which have already tangled with the SEC and gotten clear of it, or exchanges that are overseas. There's also cryptos that are out there that directly move fiat money, and cryptos that are allowing you to buy their coins directly without going through a bank or exchange. And I was at a conference the other day, and it reminded me of something. It just blew my mind. It was all about, let's say, gaming dApps and Web3 dApps, and most of the organizations, most of the projects that were there are building their own wallets with their own on and off ramps. And I call this kind of the Candy Crush solution. That I don't know if you've ever played Candy Crush or one of those addictive games, but what happens? You download it, it's free. You play the first 5 levels are easy, cake, right? Eventually you get to a level that's hard enough that it offers you, would you like to buy some, I don't know, hammers or lightning bolts or something?
Right.
And if you're like me, I'm a droid person. I have my droid tuned in that I one touch buys and ding, it goes through. Well, Candy Crush now just got money directly from Eric, thanks to Google Play and American Express, right? Gaming apps and other Web3 apps are building that same functionality in such that they don't need a bank that can be choked off. That I could be playing a game on blockchain I could be playing a Web3 game, something, something that's in my browser, but it's connected to blockchain. And if I want to add money to it or move money to somebody else or something, it handles it just like Candy Crush does. Now, Candy Crush, the difference is they're beholden to the Apple Store and Google. So if you wanted to choke point Candy Crush, you easily could. But then Candy Crush might say, you know what, why don't we just start letting people pay us in Bitcoin? Because you can't choke point Bitcoin or Ethereum or Matic or something. I mean, Polygon or something like that. So the point is, there's a lot more windows and doors and cracks that money can get into and out of cryptocurrencies than I think choke point could ever consider. And some of them are so small, and there's thousands of apps that can take money directly. No matter what choke point attempted to do, it won't be successful. Might be damaging, but it can't kill crypto.
Can't kill crypto. Eric Wade, just love speaking with you, editor of Crypto Capital, and you can learn more about how Eric feels we can take advantage of this tremendous opportunity with FedNow being released.
Flood of money.
Flood of money.
Flood of activity.
Flood of activity. You got to go to messagefromeric.com. I know I'll be watching. Eric, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always fun. You ask the best questions.
Appreciate that. Well, and you provide such great, unbiased insights. So thank you. We'll see you soon. And thank you all for watching. We'll have more great content coming your way. So be sure to stay tuned to the Daniela Camboni Show. And don't forget to sign up at danielacamboni.com. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.